I really love that
Yeah,
there's
right?
a countdown on there for me because that is fantastic.
We
What
just
is
need
going on?
we need a clip of Carlton doing the dance because it
That's
matches
right.
up
That'd be
perfectly.
fun. Yeah, it'd be
That'd
fun.
be really funny. Transpose Max's face over his too would be even funnier. But what is going on, everybody? So we're just gonna get right into it. My buddy Mike dropped a video, which I want to get into. I'm going to tell a story leading up to it. So Monday is the anniversary of my daughter's mom's passing. It's been 2 years Monday, and this week somebody was kind enough. They found some old photos and old videos of her from we were still together and with Kylie. So been watching it, reflecting, just in the feels because I miss her. Kylie misses her. We miss her being around, and I spent a lot of the week, sad, crying, and tears, just thinking about, she's so young to die and to go through all that. And I pop on Mike's movie yesterday, and it really it allowed all those emotions to flood out. I think that I had been, and not suppressing because I'd been letting myself go through it, but I think it was very good, Mike. You did a very good job.
Thanks. Thanks, I appreciate that. I'm and as I said before we even started, it's like I'm glad it was a good cathartic thing for you, and not like just kind of being more triggering or something. Because I could, like I said, I could see that being the case, but I'm glad it served a purpose for you. So
yeah, no, I was going through it, man. I'm like, man, somebody in their 30s could die. I'm 40, gonna be 40. I'm 41. I'm 41, gonna be 42 this year. It's like, yeah. So I've been definitely going through. I'm going to go through it more on Monday. But yeah, dude, everybody go check out Mike's movie. Mike, talk about it for a quick second.
Sure. It was a movie that I originally intended to shoot and get done in March for that contest I've been doing for the past couple of years, the make a movie during the Oscars thing. And I had shot some stuff for it. I had shot basically the same kind of thing structurally, but then realized, like, man, this is way too personal of a thing for me to rush this, and 3 hours just isn't enough time to really kind of, get that right, in my opinion. And I was like, this is way too personal a thing that, you know what, I'll sub it out for something else. So I did. I had another movie earlier in the year that I put in place of that, and I was just like, all right, before the year's end, I made myself a promise. Before the end of the year, I'm going to come back to this, and I'm going to finish this project. And the past couple weeks, that's what I've been doing. Like, I was actually, like, outlining, like, what it was. And I'm not going to give away exactly what is going on in it, necessarily. You can probably glean a little bit based off of, the way Jason was talking about it. But it's a bit of a personal expression on mortality and things like that. And, yeah, just finally... earlier this week I'm like, tonight's the night. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to get the majority of this shot. And I did that, and it took a lot out of me, as you can probably tell in it. It takes a lot out of you to get that deep and vulnerable and be okay with being that deep and vulnerable. But I was okay with it. And I'm okay, everybody. Yes. You'll see the movie and you'll be like, oh, Jesus, is he all right? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine. That movie making has become sort of a go-to therapy for me. So,
yeah, man, I totally get it. I bet having the topics you cover in that, you had to be mentally prepare yourself for what you did. So yeah, kudos, great job, everybody. Go check it out.
I had to like cut out all distractions. Like, I actually turned my phone off and things like that. I had to like just sit in silence for a bit before I even got into it. So yep.
Well, transition into I watched Watchmen Chapter 1. Did anybody watch that by chance? The animated movie from DC?
Yep. I saw that a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
What do you think, Mike?
It's fine. Sorry, that's a go-to. It's an adaptation of Watchmen, and
pretty accurate, I thought.
My feelings on adapting Watchmen in general are very mixed, just because, I don't know. I kind of side with Alan Moore, or as he likes to be known now, the writer of it. Doesn't want to be associated with it really anymore. But like, it really fits that medium of comic books very, very well, to a point that, yeah, you try to adapt it into like motion pictures or cartoons or something like that, and something does get lost in not having just the straight up panels there. There's a reason why those panels are structured for that. But overall, it's fine.
Yeah, I really
I'm not.
liked it.
I'm not thoroughly blown away by it. I'm not thoroughly blown away by direct-to-video animated stuff from DC anymore. So,
yeah, the DC stuff has been. Maybe that's why I was so blown away by it when I watched it. But not the TV show. Some of DC's TV shows have been amazing. But this adaptation, I like that they did put elements of comic book panels in the animation that I kind of dug throughout. Yeah, I mean, it's one to go check out, guys, especially like the Watchmen story. I really like the Watchmen movie too. I haven't seen the show yet, but I did like
that was the other aspect of it, was because the movie pretty much, for the most part, aside from one big thing at the end, really held true to the source material as best as it could. I'll give it that. It's just that you put that in the hands of Zack Snyder, who can't help but like make all the characters look super badass. Even when they're not, like, these characters aren't supposed to be badasses. Like, Rorschach is just a stinky, crazy bigot. Night Owl is an impotent loser loner. Dr. Manhattan is cut off from reality, and that makes him a flake. And so, like, Zack Snyder couldn't help but, like, be like, but what if they were badass losers? And so, at least this adaptation didn't delve too much into that. Like, it was just like, let's just show them as they were in the comics originally and make it that much of an expectation. So there's still a part 2 though. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, they definitely didn't try to humanize the comedian in this first part like they did in the original movie.
No, you're not supposed to. Fuck that guy. He's a monster.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, I checked that out. So guys, go check it out if you're into Watchmen. If you're not into Watchmen, I think it's for you either way. Like, if you don't like the comic books, then I wouldn't go check it out. But you guys watch anything cool?
I told you I watched The Watchers.
Oh yeah, how was it?
I mentioned just really quickly, like, it's a really good premise. It's Shyamalan's daughter, Ishana, I believe her name is. It's her first feature film, and for a debut feature film, it's okay. There's some good shots. She knows how to shoot, like, reflect, when you're dealing with, like, mirrors and stuff. Looks really cool with some striking visuals. Performances are okay. Dakota Fanning's okay. It's Shyamalan-like dialogue, so it's really clunky. And even the premise, once it's revealed, like, what the premise is, I was still on board for the sort of twist that's happening. But then, like a lot of Shyamalan-related stuff, the third act goes on way too long and kind of ruins that premise. Like, it was a cool, self-contained horror survival thing, and then in the last 20 minutes, it suddenly wants to be about something else. And I'm like, you didn't really build up to this. It's not earned. I'm kind of checking out already, so I don't care about what happens next. So
Dakota Fanning, she's the big reason I wanted to see it. I have not seen anything on it. Like, I don't even know what the movie's about. What is the movie about, like, on the surface?
People lost in the woods.
Kidnapped, right?
Well, not kidnapped. They get lost in the woods. They get secluded at this cabin or this, display that they call the coop. And there are watchers in the woods who watch them. And the whole idea is that they can't go out past the sun going down. And it's all about, like, how do they get out of there, when the watchers are probably watching them. So,
fascinating. What about you, Justin? You watch anything cool?
Anything cool? Cool is relative. Well, it's not. Well, it's like I'm going back to look at Dragon Ball Z Kai, because I watched the original Dragon Ball Z, but that was such a weird, like, I don't know. I had to skip every third episode over because I was, like, always just revisiting stuff in the previous episodes. And I'm wanting to look at because Kai is the remastered versions of that, I think, right? It's like less run-on episodes. So I really dug it. I mean, I'm through the fight of Vegeta, which is fun, but it's good.
Nice. I started the Terminator anime show on Netflix. First episode was pretty cool. I hate the fact that I had to watch it with the English dub, but it's hard for me to watch things the way I want to watch it with the original language.
Oh, it does come with subtitles then?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Animation's great. The story is great so far. It's not about any of the Connors. So far, there's no Connors in this at all. I don't even think they're referenced. And I like it. I like that we're getting a different take in this universe that we haven't gotten before.
That's cool. So it's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called again? It's Terminator
Zero, I think.
Zero. Okay, because that's what we were kind of talking about with Aliens last week. Was like I would just like to hear stories being told in this universe that don't have to do with Ripley or anything else. Let's just see how the rest of the world responds to Skynet or Terminators or things like that.
And the company. Which reminds me, we've got a top 5, guys, that we're going to do today. It's movies that people would be surprised that we haven't seen. And these are movies that, anytime I've brought up that I haven't seen, these have gotten the most reaction. So these are the ones I've chosen. I've actually got a list of 8. So I'm going to make some cuts as we go. Whatever I feel like in the time. But I'm going to start off with a tie for number 5. Yeah, I'm cheating, guys. It's 2 franchises, Lord of the Rings and most of the Bond movies. I've seen 3 James Bond movies. I haven't seen like any of the Craig. I've seen 1 Brosnan. I've seen 1 Roger Moore, and I've seen 1 Sean Connery. I've liked them. I've liked the ones I've seen, but I don't know. I just haven't.
I think you might like Dalton. Actually, you might be more of a Dalton dude.
I probably will like Dalton. I like Connery a lot. They're just slower. And Roger Moore.
The 60s. Yeah.
Roger Moore.
I'm very surprised with Lord of the Rings, though. That's been in the zeitgeist of like movie watching. And
haven't you been wanting to say like you want to do like a whole watch of
the extended
right?
Yeah, but that's a lot to ask somebody for their first time watching those movies.
I mean, if I'm going to do it, Justin, I think I should just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a TV watcher. I can binge a TV show, so I don't see why
I have them all on Blu-ray. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Max has them on its platform, the original and the extended. I think.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Do they have both, or
I don't know. I know they have the original. I have to look for the extended.
They're there.
And the
somewhere.
reason I put that at number 5 and not number 1 is because I have seen The Hobbit. I saw the original Hobbit movie. I liked it a lot, actually, and for some reason I just haven't seen the others.
Well, then you'll love the others because they're better.
Yeah, you'll really like the others, and the others won't give you a headache from the high frame rate.
I'm thinking that maybe I should finish the Hobbit series before I jump into Lord of the Rings, so maybe I'll like it more because that's kind of what happened with me and Alien. Like I literally saw the Alien movies with the exception of Romulus in story order. So when I watched Prometheus, because I hadn't seen any of the other ones, I was in it because I didn't have any expectations. And then watched Covenant. I was like, yeah, this is cool because again, no expectations. And I finally watched 1, 2, and half of 3.
I mean, and that could work.
Maybe I should just do that with Lord of the Rings. Finish the Hobbit.
I feel like as not as good as the Hobbit movies are, at least like their way to line up with the Lord of the Rings is a lot more cohesive than when it's been done before with like say Star Wars or things like.
Yeah, I mean, the Hobbit was always the prequel to Lord of the Rings. So
yeah,
do whatever you want. Yeah.
Well, the Hobbit was the one that came first, and he's like, "Hey, I can make this a bigger thing."
Right.
And so
that was my favorite book too of the actual books. Is the Hobbit compared to?
Are they hard to read?
No. The Hobbit is a breeze to read because it is structured like basically a children's fantasy book. The Lord of the Rings is a little bit different just because Tolkien gets very much more into the mythology and lore and becomes a little bit more,
I started reading Game of Thrones and I was like, fuck this book because there's way too many characters. I didn't want to make charts and diagrams in my house to follow it, but maybe I'll go back and check it out.
I kept it solely to the show. I'm like, I don't even want to know about all the incongruities that the show has with the books.
If he ever finishes the books, I will reread. I'll go back and read them. But I don't trust that man to actually finish it.
That's the thing. Is like I have a feeling if I do get deep into R.R. Martin, the novels, then the time he finally does release the book, knowing how the series ends, I will either be really disappointed or really lost. So.
How about you, Justin? What do you got at your 5?
My number 5, and you kind of mentioned the franchise already, but I'm a big James Bond guy, and I've yet to watch Spectre. Like, no part of me is interested in Spectre. I don't know why. I liked all the other ones around it, but like Spectre just didn't.
Spectre's out of the Craig movies, I feel, is the most forgettable. I mean, Quantum of Solace, I would say, is as equally probably as. Not on the radar for some people, but it does have a lot of really good action from what I call. Spectre takes its time. Spectre is slow. I'll cop to that.
Yeah, none. It just didn't catch my eye at all, and I've never went back to actually fix watching it.
Is that the only James Bond? Is that the only James Bond you haven't seen, Spectre?
I feel like that's true. I would have to actually look back through. Like my dad and I used to we have a giant TV box set of VHS ones, and we watch one a day before he went to work, and I did whatever summer thing I was going to do.
Well, because the problem is too. There's a whole bunch, the whole thing about the James Bond series is that its history in terms of distribution and who gets to do what movies is messy. So you could have, Sean Connery Bond, more Bond, then you can have Lazenby Bond in his one offshoot. Mm-hmm. Then you can have Sean Connery come back again, but not technically be the same character, and then, all that stuff. So it's messy.
Yeah, I mean, Con Air is a James Bond movie, in my opinion. Not Con Air. Not Con Air.
I was like,
the other Nicolas Cage, The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock. A lot of people think that that's a James Bond movie because they say Connery pretty much plays Bond in it. They just don't say his name, right?
Yeah,
100%. Does his character have a name in that? No.
They don't call out James
It's
Bond.
That's right. It's alluded to that he's Bond, quote unquote. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I love movie conspiracy theories. What about you, Mike? I'm excited to hear your list.
Well, it's funny you mentioned The Rock because number 5 has to do with Nicolas Cage because as much as I'm a huge fan of Nicolas Cage, I haven't seen a lot of his stuff because, frankly, I don't think a lot of his stuff, I don't seek it out unless someone really tells me oh, this Redbox movie he did is good or something like that. Then, I'll be curious. But otherwise, a lot of the stuff he was doing to kind of pay off the dinosaur bones and all that crazy shit he bought.
His IRS stuff?
Yeah, his IRS stuff. I kind of ignore that because that's clearly the paycheck stuff where he shows up probably for 10 minutes. But, the National Treasure films, never saw them, never really had an interest. And that's a Bruckheimer Disney joint. So I know it has money behind it, and I know he's headlining those things, but I have just never had the interest to watch Nicolas Cage do contemporary knockoff not James Bond, Indiana Jones. If they actually put Nicolas Cage in an Indiana Jones movie, I'd watch that, but National Treasure movies, never had an interest in them.
I've actually seen National Treasure. I like that kind of movie. It's a gimmick that I enjoy. I like Tomb Raider and stuff. That's the reason I watched all 3 of the... I didn't mind the third one so much, but the Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code movies. Oh, those first 2 were awful. But I don't know why I liked the third one. Maybe just because I thought it was going to be awful. But I liked that first National Treasure with Cage. It's very cagey.
the premise I thought is fine. That's kind of cool. It's sure, you have this adventurer who's seeking out a treasure of some kind that's rooted in American history and hey, American history is not what it is. And so, which I can get behind because American history, the way it's presented to the general public, isn't really the way it is. This one's a little bit more cheeky and fun with it, I'm guessing. But his whole, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. I'm like, cool. I'm still not jazzed to see that. Sorry, Nick. Love you, but...
Yeah, those are easy watches, but for sure, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, you can sell me. If you were to sit on this podcast and you just tell me you should go watch this Nicolas Cage movie, I'm going to go watch it because I just know that you wouldn't tell me to go watch it if I shouldn't watch it. I don't know that you need to watch National Treasure. I enjoyed it, but it's not one of those Nicolas Cage movies. It's holy shit, you got to see Nick in this movie.
Are there 2 or 3?
2, I think.
I think there's 2
in a show.
2. There's a show. Oh, okay. It's a spinoff, yeah. I thought they were supposed because I thought I heard he was going to do another one. I thought maybe then there was going to be a third one.
He might be. I wouldn't be surprised. There's rumors of a face-off. So I'm sure Nicolas Cage is down for whatever. But my number 4 is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. As much of a Jim Carrey fan as I am, and I've seen a lot of his movies, I saw freaking number 23. How I saw number 23 before Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I'll never know. But Max can't believe I haven't seen this because I like these kind of movies in general, and I just missed it, and I need to go back and watch it.
I like it. Yeah, it's a good movie. I mean, I recommend it. I will say, kind of a disclaimer here is that if you are prone to motion sickness, it may not be your thing just because it's a lot of handheld stuff. So I know that was a deal when my folks saw it. Like I saw it in the theaters on my own, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys have to see this movie! It's so great!" And then they went and saw it in theaters on my recommendation. And my mom's like, "I almost threw up." Like it was just so much. Like Michel Gondry can't hold his camera still, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, it's all over the place, but that's kind of the whole thing. It's supposed to be dreamlike and disorienting, but no, it's a good movie. I think you'd like it.
Jim Carrey is a really good actor too. It just he hasn't picked great serious roles, and I know this is one of the ones that's he's good in. I like The Truman Show, and I like The Man on the Moon.
This is one of his better ones.
Yeah, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna fix it and watch it.
He's really good in it. Kate Winslet steals the show, though. She's probably the best part of the movie because her character of Clementine is just like a force of nature and is really good. And I like that it has other actors in it that kind of break their type. Like Mark Ruffalo's in it. He's a dweeby young Mark Ruffalo. Kirsten Dunst is in it. Elijah Wood is in it, and he definitely is trying out something different from the roles he'd had up until that point.
Yeah. What about you, Justin?
What was my fourth? It was Barbie. I kept hearing good stuff about it, and I've not taken my time out to actually go see it. Like I want to. I've heard it was good. Yeah, I wanted to go do the Barbenheimer thing, and I never got around to doing it. I've seen Oppenheimer, but not Barbie yet.
Just go into I didn't love it, but I went into it with like during the hype, after the hype, when everybody had raved about it. I need to go back and revisit it, but yeah, it was still good. Like I didn't dislike the movie by any stretch of the imagination.
Mike owns it.
I like it. Yeah,
it's a recommendation for sure.
I think it's a very solid film. I've revisited it a couple times since I bought it on Blu-ray, and yeah, it definitely there are some points of it that I kind of feel like when you were in the midst of the Barbenheimer thing, certainly stuff got played up.
Got swept away.
Swept away with it, but for the most part, it's a really solid kind of meta film. And I'm all about the meta narratives, as the latest project will attest to. So. But, yeah.
Absolutely. Like I said, it was good. I own it as well. And I plan on revisiting it. But I watched it like during all the hype. And I was extremely hyped going into it. And I don't like taking expectations in the movies, and I totally did with this one. But what about you, Mike?
Okay. So this is kind of a double header. It's Pixar centric. I have not seen Ratatouille, and I've only watched the first opening thing of Up.
That's surprising.
Yeah,
both
surprising. Yeah. Not just because I'm like, ugh, no, Ratatouille, whatever. I'm like, no, I generally do want to watch Ratatouille. I just haven't gotten around to it. And Up, I'm curious about, but honestly, I saw the first, that first opening with him and his wife and everything like that. Like, I feel it'd be hard.
Saddest opener.
Yeah, it'd be hard to go into a whimsical kind of, even if the whimsical adventure ties into that opening in a significant way. Like I find it would still be hard for me to kind of get lost in that after such a gut-wrenching sequence. So yeah,
it's good. It's really good. It took me a while to watch Up because I knew it was going to be one of those ones that punched you in the gut in the beginning. And Ratatouille is really good. I do recommend going back and checking it out.
I definitely will. I mean, yep, I've got the app now, so nothing's stopping me except my own laziness.
One of us.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is another tie because that's my list. Enter the Dragon and the Crow. I've seen neither, and the Crow I've been in a lot of shit recently because the new Crow movie's out, and then Enter the Dragon as somebody who likes martial arts movies. The fact that I've never seen a Bruce Lee movie, let alone Enter the Dragon, blows my mind. I've seen most of Fists of Fury. I don't know why I didn't finish it. I liked it. I think I had to leave the room when somebody was watching it. But I need to fix that.
I can kind of understand because I kind of sometimes am in the same camp as you, Jason, where if it's not hip deep and some pretty elaborate martial arts choreography and it's more about the story better be really damn good to kind of keep me going in it. Enter the Dragon has a really solid story to it. There have been some martial arts movies I've seen where it's like the story absolutely deflates everything, and I do kind of fall asleep in between those moments until they have to kick ass next time. The Crow, yeah, you should see the original Crow. It's something.
Yeah, it's a thing. the reviews online is making me think that the new Crow is not worth going in to see in theaters. Now that we're talking about it.
I've heard. So from Mick and a few other people, I've heard it's not the worst movie in the world. Like it's definitely watch it. Mike's word, it's fine.
Yeah,
I've heard it's fine. And
honestly, that's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, finish your.
I'm kind of curious with the Crow. You guys have seen it, like the original Crow. Would it be as big as it was if it didn't have the Brandon Lee story attached to it?
It's hard to say. I mean, I like to think so, but like seeing the Dark Knight without.
I get it. No, because that's the same way
Ledger
with
died.
Wakanda
Keith
Forever
Ledger
for
died.
me. Like I love Wakanda Forever. I can't tell you if it's.
The thing is, it's like I don't really recall. And Justin, I don't know if you were young enough to know this or old enough to know it, but like I don't really recall it being like a runaway type of thing when it first was out. Like it became.
It was definitely a cult classic.
It was a cult classic thing
Yeah,
because of the notoriety about Brandon Lee's unfortunate passing, but also because people eventually gravitated to it just on its own terms. So I don't think it was like a big mega hit that everyone was like now retrospectively looking back and being like, oh yeah, The Crow, what a classic. Like,
yeah, I think that's right. That feels right.
Yeah,
it's one of my girlfriend's favorites, so she plans on making me watch that this week. This is pretty much a list of movies I'm watching in the next 2 weeks that I'm going through right now. But
I will say it gave me one of my favorite Halloween costumes when I was in New York City, because I did go as the Crow with I had long hair at the time, put on the face paint black, and I had an electric guitar and a little pocket speaker that I went around playing the riff from the Crow. So
I bet that was sweet. I bet you get a lot of requests.
Yep, a lot of assholes were like, "Dude, fuck that,
Freebird,
play Freebird."
Probably way to heaven. Justin, what's your 3?
These next 3 are all kind of in the same realm of like older movie, but like Ben-Hur. I've never seen. At least I don't believe I've ever seen Ben-Hur ever.
Me neither.
Yeah,
and Casablanca was almost on my list. Ben-Hur, that's a good one. You can write that down.
It's long.
I've not seen it either.
It's good.
Long.
It's long.
I mean, I quote it because that's where I'm Spartacus or whatever. Like that's where that's
no,
from,
that's
right?
that's from Spartacus.
Oh, fair enough.
Sorry.
Whoop! No, you're right. No, it's good. All right. I'm glad you fixed me now rather than before. But cool. But no, I have not seen that one.
Or
That's
Spartacus,
another
apparently.
one that had like that one had a contemporary reboot too. My God, man.
The
Ben-Hur.
You did? Ben-Hur did?
Yeah, Ben-Hur like a couple years ago had like a updated.
I've not seen that one either.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It just came and gone. I don't hear anybody talk about it positively or negatively. The remake of Ben-Hur.
It's so hard to do remake. You know what I mean? It's just like unless it's super better than the original, like just go watch the original.
Or super terrible. Yeah. I think they're for the most part really forgettable. Like the 2014 RoboCop, no one really talks about. The Point Break remake, no one really talks about anymore. Yeah. It's like they just kind of faded away. No one like hates them, but no one.
Quick cash grab.
Yeah, RoboCop was fine. I've not seen Point Break should have been on my list too because I haven't seen the original.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I could have sworn you would have been. I thought you would be a Point Break mark for sure.
Probably. Yeah. I like the remake, Part 10, Fast and Furious. What's your 3, Mike?
My 3 is it's Dazed and Confused.
I've not seen it either.
And
that
just
one.
And again, I've been meaning to. I love Linklater,
and
I love all his other stuff. But this one, for some reason, I just haven't gotten around to seeing. And I know the premise of it, And if you were to show me like a picture of one of the characters, I would know it's from Dazed and Confused. And of course, Matthew McConaughey's like the older I get, that line. But yeah, just I don't know. It's always just been kind of a blind spot for me.
Me too.
It's my brother's favorite movie. Yeah.
And Fear and Loathing, I've not seen.
There was a time I would get Dazed and Confused crisscrossed with Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I can see that.
I did finally see Fast Times, but yeah.
I think a lot of folks watching back to back. Go ahead, sir.
I might need to. I have not seen Fast Times either, and I like Phoebe Cates. Number 2 is Blade Runner.
The original.
Neither. I just pulled them off my shelf to set on top of my Blu-ray player because I'm going to watch them this weekend for sure.
There you go.
Because the company from Alien is the company in that movie, right?
No.
Aren't they tied together?
No, Wayland
Tie
Yutani.
them together?
Alien is Wayland Yutani. That whole franchise is Wayland Yutani. Blade Runner is the Tyrell Corporation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those aren't the ones that are interconnected.
I do think there are Easter eggs that have alien things like in it. I just forget what those are. I know what you're talking.
No. Predator and Aliens are the ones that are tied together.
Sure. No, I thought in Prometheus he connected something from Blade Runner into Alien. I'll have to go back and Google it later. But
I mean, the idea of synthetic people, but that was part of the premise from Blade Runner to begin with, from Philip K. Dick. Which version of Blade Runner do you have?
I was told to watch the final cut. I have the final cut in the original.
Okay. Yeah.
Which one? Like final cut?
Final. I mean, they did a whole. I keep pulling off the shelf. They do, the final cut, but it also comes with like the original, the international, and the director's cut, which is Ridley's preferred cut or whatever. But
what's your preferred cut?
Honestly, it depends on the mood. Like, you could be in the mood. Final cut is the most cohesive, that's for sure. It'll make the most sense. The original, if you're just in the mood for hearing Harrison Ford be bored out of his mind narrating, then yeah, that's your jam. Because they forced him to come in to do voiceover in the original 80s version because they were afraid no one would know what was going on in the movie. So, like, Harrison, come in, record these lines to explain what's happening. And even Harris, you could hear outtakes where Harrison's like, this is fucking weird, man. It's like, this is bullshit.
That's awesome.
That is funny. All right, Justin, 2?
2 is Psycho. I've like seen pieces of it, but I don't think I've ever seen the actual full movie of Psycho.
Do you know the twist?
Yes, I do. Where I definitely know a lot about the movie just because of how popular it is, but I don't think I've actually sat down and watched. I know like the skull, the last scene or whatever, like it flashes like overlaying his face and stuff. Like, I know a lot of like pop culture references to it, but I'm not sure I've actually sat down and watched it.
We might have to just hang out, Justin, and do Lord of the Rings because Psycho is in my top 5 favorite movies. We might just have to do the Lord of the Rings movies and then Psycho 1 and 2 together.
I mean, that's an interesting combination.
Yeah, what a great double feature. Quadruple feature.
We won't do it all.
Double.
We'll put time in between because Lord of the Rings is a freaking chore.
Well, what I love about Psycho, I mean, probably Hitchcock's best known film, but I don't think it's his best. It's good, but I think he did a lot better ones. North by Northwest is personally I'd rank above Psycho, but what I love about it is the trailer that he did for the movie back in the 60s where he was like, and here's what happened. The bathtub where she was murdered, and well, I can't get into details about that. Like, it's just him walking through the set and saying, here's where this gruesome thing's gonna happen, but don't take my word for it. And I'm just like,
yeah, theaters weren't happy with him because he didn't want anybody being admitted late. So, like, you had to be on time to get into the movie.
Could you imagine how much he would have lost his shit in the age of cell phones?
Oh my god.
How pissed he would constantly be in this day and age where everyone has their cell phones out to film the spoilers. Oh.
He probably wouldn't make it. He probably would have been canceled by now.
I mean, yeah, that too. There's that too. He definitely ouches.
Mike, what is your 2?
Lawrence of Arabia.
I've not seen.
I've not seen that either. Yeah.
I genuinely have had a curiosity about it, and I see it on sale all the time when I go to Barnes and Noble for, it's always on sale. And I'm like, I should just buy this for $10. I really should. But also part of me is like, but I know I'd have to sacrifice a majority of a day to sit through it. But I'm also like, it's from what I've been told, it's great filmmaking and Peter O'Toole is awesome in it. And I'm just like, I don't know. I for some reason I just haven't had the gumption to take it to the next step and actually sit down and watch it. But I should.
Yeah, I understand though. It's a long movie. I would not be thrilled if my whole day was spent watching any movie.
Have you seen it, Justin?
No, I have not. But I just know it's long.
My big fear about longer movies, because here's the thing: it's like I'll give movies a shot, absolutely. But my big fear about movies that extend past the 2 hour or 2.5 hour mark is that if the premise of it, upon hearing about it, doesn't immediately gel with me, that if I start to tune out halfway through or even in the first handful of scenes, then I'm like, oh crap, well, I'm not going to get my full attention now. So part of me is like, I really hope that doesn't happen with Lawrence of Arabia, because it's highly,
regarded,
high caliber film, and I'm just like, I should.
Yeah, Citizen Kane is another one I haven't seen that almost made my list. But my number one, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, not from you guys, but any of my family that might be watching. I'm going to watch them, guys. Like, let's all calm down. I watched the first one not too long ago because I didn't like the first one for the longest time. I couldn't get through it. Finally watched it, love it. And it's The Godfather 2 tied with Scarface. I've seen neither of these movies, and I own them both. And I will fix that very, very soon. Scarface is one I've been getting shit for recently. It just never interested me, like, at all. Like, Al Pacino as an actor, I don't think he's as awesome as everybody says he is, but maybe it's because I haven't seen more of his stuff. My Italian family is gonna be really mad at me for saying that. I'm sorry, guys. Just, it hasn't sold me as an actor.
Before this, like, what was kind of your familiarity with Al Pacino? Like, where would you know
was
him
like
best
Any
from?
Given Sunday, or
Godfather? I've seen Any Given Sunday. Irishman, I thought he was the weakest link in The Irishman. I'm trying to think. I've seen him in a few things. Jack and Jill, Adam Sandler. That movie.
I was about to say. I was like, he's gonna say Jack and Jill. He has to say Jack and Jill. Like,
the half of that
I
movie.
Al
that
Pacino from Jack and Jill. That's awesome.
No, but I mean, he's fine. I just don't think he's like the end all be all of actors like some people think. Like, I think De Niro's better by a long shot.
But you're also not like watching any of the movies he's known for.
I know.
Yeah. I know his
Dunkachino
Dunkachino bit killed in Jack and Jill. But
I did like him in The Devil's Own with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Oh, Devil's Advocate. Yeah, Devil's Advocate.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
did like The Godfather. Like, I'm turning around on it. Like, I'm getting more into the idea of Al Pacino.
Sure.
I don't mind. Yeah.
Late career Pacino is dodgy at times. Early career Pacino, when he's in Godfather mode and all that stuff, when he's younger, like, he's cranking out hits.
Michael Corleone is legit.
Yeah. And Dog Day Afternoon and all those movies. It's like he's cranking out hits, and he's like, invested in them too. So I was about to ask, because Justin, I know you're a Godfather aficionado.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I
remember back in the day you gave Max shit about not liking
Godfather. Shit. I'll still give him shit.
Yeah, dude, I kept trying with The Godfather though, because I knew eventually it would click with me. It's just because it's slow. It's a slow movie.
I mean, it's okay to not like it. It's just like,
no, I do like it. I do like the original Godfather quite a bit. But
it's a slow crime saga type of thing. So yeah, definitely takes its time. But I found as we get older, and like, because I used to not have patience for it either when I was like in my early teens and stuff like that. But when I finally sat down and watched it, like junior year of high school, I was just like, wow, the slowness of this, the anxiety is building up in me because of it. But I mean, that's what it's supposed to do. It's like it builds that tension in you, and you're just like, when is he going to finally turn?
Yeah.
And when part two came around, and the whole kit and caboodle drops with him and Fredo, I'm just like, Jesus, how are they going to rectify that? Oh, that's how they rectify it. Well, that's depressing.
The last 5 minutes of that movie is so wild to me. When I first watched it, I was like, "Oh, all right."
Not gonna spoil it for you, Jason. But it's
Have you guys seen the director's cut of 3 that came out a few years ago?
No.
I've heard it's really good. Once. I have the director's cut. I think I'm gonna skip 3 and just watch the director's cut. That's why I was asking like what I should do, because I guess the new one cuts out a lot of Sofia Coppola stuff.
And honestly, like my opinion on part 3 has softened a lot in the years prior. Like, it's not the train wreck that everyone is always saying it is. Like, she's not good at acting. She found her niche clearly after that, being a director, and it's worked wonders for her. But like, her performance isn't grinding the whole movie to a halt. It's just, one of those distracting things. Like, the movie, I think, still functions well.
Yeah. I mean, shit, we could have almost gotten Nick Cage in Godfather. He was trying.
I mean, he didn't have to try. He's in the family.
I know. That's what. Yeah, he's Coppola.
I mean,
that's always one of my fun facts of Godfather is him, Nick Cage being like related to them.
Yep. I mean, they're like the Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
Justin, what's your one?
You mentioned it before, but Citizen Kane, like that's such a an important movie to not have seen. Like, I've just not taken the time to watch it. But Citizen Kane's
most people's number one, and I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, I want to. I just haven't taken the time out to do it.
I know the twist.
Oh yeah. Oh, I had the twist for that movie spoiled for me by the real Ghostbusters when I was a kid. There was a whole. They did a whole like we're hunting down the ghost not Charles Foster Kane, and it turns out like just put the ghost on his sled and he's happy. I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Okay. So when I finally saw the movie, I'm like, oh, that's what they were talking about in that Ghostbusters episode.
That's awesome.
No, I think like it is one of those movies when you first hear about it being touted as one of the greatest ever. Like, yeah, you can't help but kind of like roll your eyes a little bit, probably about like, oh, is it like a pretentious piece of work? Right? It's really not that pretentious. It is pretty clear cut because it was the first of those types of movies to do the things that would come to be known as being pretentious later on in movies, like mise en scène and things like that, like how you set up a frame, how you're able to like rack focus on different things in the scene to accentuate emotions and things like that. Like Orson Welles was the guy who kind of pioneered a lot of that type of stuff in movies. So of course, people will call it pretentious and stuff. Like he kind of designed the first pretentious movie inadvertently just because he had style about it. So, but it's good. Like everyone acts the hell out of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. I just have not.
And there is a jump scare.
Oh, all right.
There's a legit jump scare, and people have gone on record saying like the reason that jump scare is in there is to wake the audience up.
Oh, that's incredible.
Like there's a reason we had to put it in there. It was because we felt like audiences were kind of losing focus. So, hey.
We should do a show, Justin. Hey, we finally watched this. Talk about it.
We could. Now we're all caught up type of show.
Yeah. All right, Mike, what's your one?
My number one, and this will tie into our buddy Max a little bit, because I have never seen The Notebook. And the reason I'm curious about it now, because I've never really had an interest in wanting to watch it, but I heard about the passing of Gina Rollins, who was linked to a lot of film history, like this really phenomenal actress. And she, was linked especially to John Cassavetes, who was like one of the great directors of like the post Golden Age of Hollywood era. And so she's in The Notebook as old lady, I guess. And that's how I know that frame of reference is she's the old lady in The Notebook, whatever that story is. And so I want to see her in The Notebook now, because after she passed, I realized like, man, my catalog of watching her movies is sorely lacking. So I did a deep dive into a lot of her stuff, and she was a phenomenal actress. I would recommend the Cassavetes movie Woman Under the Influence. Jason, you might like it because it's got Columbo in it. Peter Falk is in it as her husband.
Like Peter Falk, yeah.
And it is about a woman who is going through a mental health crisis, and it's bad enough that happens, but her husband Peter Falk and the rest of his family aren't helping, and they take everything to 11. And it is raw, and it is uncomfortable. I called in my review, it's weapons grade uncomfortable. Like it's that kind of awkward. But she is a phenomenal actress, and so yeah, I want to see what she does in 2000s material in The Notebook.
But she was really good in The Notebook. The Notebook is one of those movies that I was forced to watch by a girlfriend that I maybe watched once or twice since. It's got Ryan Gosling and Rose McAdams in it as well, and James Garner. It's not a bad movie, like by much of the imagination. It's gotten the stereotype like every guy hates it because their girlfriends forced them to watch it. But it was
a Titanic ending. It was a Titanic phenomenon, basically, yeah. And that kind of put me off it for a while, just because I was like, oh, is it going to be like just an overdone kind of Hallmark movie or Lifetime movie? And I'm just like, from what I've heard in retrospect, it's like, no, it gets pretty real. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's
for it.
the only Nicholas Sparks movie that's watchable. I've watched quite a few Nicholas. No, that's not true. The one with Mandy Moore was watchable, but the rest of them have been unwatchable. Unwatchable. They're so bad.
I trust your romance takes.
What's that?
I'm sure. I feel like I trust your romance takes very much. With all your Hallmark movie.
That's definitely saying something, because you admitted, like, even admitted on the podcast, like, you watch a lot of like the Hallmark holiday movie stuff too. So it's like,
well, I like rom-coms, but in his movies, he likes to like make you believe in love, and then at the end of it, literally kills it. And you know, you can only take that so many times, guys. Like, just relax. But yeah, Notebook and A Walk to Remember. I think that's the one with Mandy Moore that he did.
Oh, okay.
Both pretty good.
Yeah.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa. I don't know why it reminded me of that.
It fits, man. It fits.
Because when I think building something up and destroying it, I think Tommy Wiseau.
That's right. That's right. And spoons and domestic violence.
Oh my god. And football and tuxes.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Jeez,
well, everybody, we've said it all. Like, comment, subscribe. Go to youtube.com/Mike McGee TV. Check out the companion. Very well done, Mike. I liked it quite a bit. You guys can find Justin and I doing interviews. We got one that we got scheduled. It's not going to be live, but it'll drop sometime next week. And we will talk to you all very soon.
Recycle your droids.
Dude.